You don't have to have the best bricks or the best equipment, but just go for it and you'll have a lot of fun on the way.
Hello everyone, and welcome to TFOL Talk, the podcast where we shine a light on awesome teen fans in the LEGO community doing amazing things, and maybe the occasional AFOL too. I'm Doodlebricks, aka Kavi, and today we're going to be hanging out with Claire, otherwise known as Claire's Creations. Hello, and how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very good, thank you. So, I guess let's just start off with the first question, which is, who is Claire's Creations, and what do you do in the LEGO world?
Yeah, so I am actually, a brand new AFOL. I just turned 20, so I still count 19 as a TFOL. I build mocks, and it's basically I take a minifigure and try to make a little habitat for them. That's basically what I've been doing recently, but I build all sorts of mocks, basically, so I'm a mock builder.
Okay, I see. That's really cool. I didn't realize that you turned 20 recently. I said you were a TFOL in my story thing where I put up questions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're cool. It's totally fun.
May I ask when you turned 20?
It was actually, I don't know how many days ago. It was Monday, I think, so I'm fresh in the AFOL world, I guess, but...
You're not too far over the mark. You're still good.
Exactly. I'm still young.
Exactly, very much so. It's cool that you also see 19 as a TFOL as well, because some people see it as up to 19 as a TFOL, and some people see up to 18 being that. For me personally, like you, it's 19, but it's kind of cool to see who thinks which way.
Mm-hmm. I used to think 18 was, but then I was I'm still a teenager, so I'll just be a TFOL for one more year. So yeah.
Exactly. No, people are definitely still teens when they're 18. It's such a weird thing to me that 18 is when you're a legal adult. That's still in the teen, in the name anyway, so you'd think it would be at 20, but
yeah.
Hey, I don't know. All right, that's awesome. So, the next question is, how and when did you get into LEGO?
Yeah, so I guess I grew up with LEGO. My parents would buy me LEGO sets because my dad was actually sort of into LEGO when he was younger. Classic spaceman guy. And so he basically just kind of bought those for me and my siblings as we were growing up. So I've known about LEGO and been a LEGO fan since I was really little. And then I'd say when I was 8 years old or so, I actually kind of started to stop building, and I didn't pick it up until about when I was 15, and I actually saw some people on YouTube that were creating LEGO content, and I was oh, I want to try that. So that's what I did. I don't know if you know who the Jackhammer is. He's kind of retired now. Yeah, so those were the first videos I saw, and I was oh, I want to build some creations like that. So I got into it again when I was about 15 to 16, and then just kind of kept building stuff and posting on the internet until today. So
Wow, okay, I see. So you started off with the classic stuff since your dad was into classic space stuff.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if you know about the medical poly bags. They were little sets. It was a doctor and a nurse. I don't know if you know about those sets, but those were the first ones that I remember having. That was the first set that had a female minifigure face in it, so I was super intrigued by that. But that's the first LEGO set I remember getting.
I see. Oh, that's really cool to hear. So I was going to ask how you got into mock building specifically, but you kind of already answered that by saying, so it was the Jackhammer that inspired you to kind of get into that properly then?
Yeah, for sure. I really liked the style of his videos. And just the things he built, I thought it was super intriguing. And it was different from what I built as a kid also. Because, when you're little, you want to build a city and houses. And as I got older, I started getting into pop culture more, shows. And I built some mocks off of shows. So that's what kind of prompted me to build other things other than houses and cars and, stuff that you would build as a kid, I guess.
Yeah, I see it. Like,
Yeah.
it inspired you to branch out more, right? Because the Jackhammer, from I remember his videos, he did do like a lot of pop culture things, like Stranger Things sets, and I haven't watched a whole ton of his content, but like I know of him and I've definitely seen a handful of his videos.
Yeah. His Stranger Things videos were really good and really cool, for sure.
Yeah, do we know why he's retired now, actually?
I do not know. I think he went to college, and then maybe after that he didn't have time. Or I don't know exactly, but it was probably just, he's moving on to better things in his life. But yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable. It can be difficult when like life stuff kind of gets in the way of the Lego thing because it's a time consuming activity, passion, hobby, whatever you want to call it.
Definitely. And also, like, financially consuming, too, because if you're building a huge mock, you got to buy pieces for that unless there's, like, you have, like, this huge collection. But for me, like, I have older sets that are torn apart, so I can kind of use those parts. And, of course, like, pick-a-brick cups, those help, too. But it is also expensive, so, yeah.
Definitely. It does help to like take apart sets, but then, that can always be difficult. It's like, do I really want to take this apart?
Mm-hmm.
It's always that constant battle of like, it looks so good, but the pieces. What ends up
Yeah.
happening a lot of the time, I think, at least for me, tell me if it does for you, is stealing
I
pieces
think I know
off
what
of
you're going to
sets.
say.
Yeah, stealing pieces off of sets slowly,
Yep.
and then they just kind of deteriorate over time.
Yeah, you see, like, I actually have modulars back here, and the front of the Parisian restaurant is almost, like, demolished because I've taken, like, little pieces off. Like, if I'm too lazy to go and look in a bin of black or whatever, I'll just take, the little black piece off the top and be like, okay, I'll put you back later, but sometimes that doesn't happen. But, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying for sure.
They never go back. We always say we're going to put them back. They never do. They get mixed in with the collection. So, what's the process of building one of your mocks like?
Yeah, so the process of me building basically kind of stems from I will get like a minifigure or like say a show that I really like. I will kind of plan it out in my head. So I don't usually like sketch it out or anything, but I have like I guess like an overview of what I want the mock to look like, what I want in it. And I basically just go from there, start building a base down, and I guess just go free from there, just adding stuff that I think would make it look good. But it's nothing like really professional. Like I said, I don't write it down or anything like that. Which in the future, I think, digital building would be useful. And that has, advantages to it as well. But for now, I just like to kind of build off of what I have. But yeah, so that's pretty much the process that I go through.
I see. So you go very like freestyle. You just kind of have an idea, some idea of what you want to do with it, and just go for it, basically. Then.
Yeah, it's sometimes it can be a long process because I'll think I'm finished with it, and then I'm really not happy with it, so I'll tear apart parts of it or add to it, and so sometimes it can be a lengthy process then. But yeah, it's pretty much just go with the flow. That's how I build.
Yeah, it's always like it's never a straight path with mock building, is it? Like, sometimes you're going and you're like, this all looks great, and then suddenly something that looked great before is like, but now that I've added this, that could change, and it's just always, so yeah, just like making a mock is such like a not straightforward process because things that can like look good as you're doing it will sometimes change later on, and then what looked good before is just like, maybe I could change that up now with this, that, or the other, and it's just such like a not straightforward process. It's very fluid, I guess.
Yes, because with sets, I guess, you have instructions, you just build what's on there. But with mocks, it's like, people that design the sets, like it essentially is a mock, so they had to go through trial and error to get to that point. So you don't really deal with that. I mean, obviously with sets, but, all that work that usually mock builders do, they've already done for the instructions. So I guess it's easier to think about it that way. I don't know. It takes a lot more to build a mock.
That is an interesting like thought about sets being mocks because it
Yeah.
is true. Like we don't see them as that, but at the end of the day, they're just mocks that have had a lot of people work on them and mass produced. Like that's a cool way of putting that. So, how did you start content creation in the first place?
Yeah, so like I was talking about earlier, I'd seen other people posting things mainly on YouTube. And so I basically just uploaded like a few, I think it was like, it would be counted as a reel nowadays, but it was like less than a minute long. I had mini modulars is what I called them. They were like little modular, like, the sets, but they were basically a lot smaller, like mini scale size. And so I made a few of those, and then eventually I started getting like subscribers from it. And then I would say maybe a month or two after doing those, I started on like more custom modulars, but they were like larger buildings, like the ones that you would buy now. And then so I guess from that point on, I just kept building larger mocks. I did some medieval things. I'm not really sure what else. Most of them are deleted off of my page because they were kind of horrendous. Yeah, but that's basically how I started. And then I also had Instagram at that point. So, and then now I do TikTok, but I didn't really do TikTok back then because it wasn't like popular, I guess. But yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay. And what, I guess, like, how come you wanted to start sharing your creations online in the first place?
Yeah, I guess I don't really know. I think I liked the idea of it, and wanted to be part of it. Like I saw other creators doing that. I was like, oh, I want to be a part of that. So it wasn't something that I just kind of woke up one day and was like, yeah, I want to do YouTube. It was kind of like a growing thing. I'd seen other people do it. So I was like, oh, I might as well give that a try. So, yeah.
I see. That's cool. You wanted to be in on the fun, right?
Exactly, yeah. It looked so fun. So I was like, I want to have some fun too. It was also summertime, so I was kind of bored, how summer is sometimes when you don't have anything really to do. I was like, well, this is the perfect time, so that's what I did.
Exactly. When you have the free time, just like go for it and start like you did. That's cool
Mm-hmm.
that you started with like I guess like mini modulars and then you slowly like upgraded to like doing proper ones. Like
Yeah.
that's a cool way of going at it, I guess. Like maybe if like you want to start to I guess get into a type of mock building that you're not sure if you I guess maybe have the skills for, you can always start
Mm-hmm.
trying like doing a smaller version and then building up slowly.
Yeah, for sure. I was kind of hesitant to start like videos because like I think the first video I ever posted it was like filmed with a 4S iPhone, so you can kind of imagine the quality of that. It's pretty bad, but I knew that I wanted to be part of that, so eventually I started using better equipment. I got a better phone, and that was just like the YouTube part of it, of course. But I also started getting more Lego, and that helped a lot too to build bigger creations. But any advice for someone starting out, I would just say go for it. You don't have to have the best bricks or the best equipment, but just go for it, and you'll have a lot of fun along the way.
Definitely, yeah. I think just like working with what you have is a great way of doing things, I guess, because you learn over time.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It also makes you resourceful, which is very good.
Mm-hmm.
So you started off with, the videos that you said, as well as on your channel still there are some build tutorial videos that you have back
Mm-hmm.
there, but then you switched to doing more mock showcases. So how come you decided to switch from tutorials to mock showcases?
Yeah, that is a really good question. Starting out, like I said, I did a few mocks, but then I realized, like, the YouTube part of it, people wanted to watch tutorials more because, there's more of a need for it. But then I kind of got burnt out on that because I wasn't really passionate about it, so that's why I kind of transitioned from tutorials to mocks, which is actually what, I was passionate about. So, yeah, that's basically how I went from tutorials to, mocks.
Definitely, that makes sense. That's a good example of like how to not do, I guess, content creation if you're not, or not do things in content creation that you're not passionate about. because you're going to get burnt out on it eventually. But, you know, you switched to doing mock showcases and you've continued with that and the quality is improved and you're going along with that. So
Yes.
it's good that you like noticed that you weren't enjoying that and then decided to switch over to doing that.
Mm-hmm. I think it was the best decision I can make, because now if I was still doing tutorials, I don't think I would have the following I have, or, you know, obviously enjoy it as much. So I'm really glad that I switched over when I did, I guess.
Exactly. Now that's very good to hear. So you started posting videos on your YouTube, but then how did you end up kind of joining the online Lego community?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I guess comments, like the comment section was a big part of it. You know, there's like people that or people's videos that I would comment on. So they kind of discovered my channel through that. And honestly, like the people that I met at the beginning, not all of them are like here now. So I think there's like a handful of people. You probably know Brickspiration Studios, Aaron. He was like one of the
Yes.
first people I met. So he's been with it through it all. He took a break, but obviously he's back now. So he's one person that I know that I've known from the beginning that's still here now. But basically it was just me commenting on videos and people checked me out, and it was kind of like a mutual thing, and then I became, you know, part of the community. Also Instagram, the community there is different than YouTube. So I kind of had like two communities in a way. You know, there was YouTube and then Instagram. And Instagram is a little bit more personal. You know, you can send messages and stuff like that. So I was, I guess, part of a big family. You know, there was like the YouTube family and Instagram. And at one point they kind of meshed together. But yeah, it was a really beautiful thing.
That's really cool to hear. Yeah, I think that's one of the ways that I've really heard is like good to get people to notice you, which is just to be around in like comment sections and stuff. Mm-hmm. Not to be like, hey, notice me, but just like talking normally and just leaving nice comments and things like that. But that's cool to hear that worked out for you and actually like helped you get engrossed in the online community. And that's also really interesting what you said about how Instagram and YouTube, like the audiences there have mixed a little bit, but they're still kind of different, because I know Brad, or Breaking Up Brad, who was on a previous episode, he's a social media coordinator, and he mentioned that, funnily enough, your audiences don't mix a lot on different platforms. Like a lot of the time it's, you want to advertise, for example, if you put out a video, you want to like advertise on a bunch of platforms, because he said that, you know, they're not going to cross over as much as you think they would. So that's interesting to hear that as well.
For sure.
But no, that's really cool to hear. And it was just, I guess, consistency then and just growing the friendships with each of these people, right?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, pretty much. I guess just commenting helped a lot. You know, keeping in touch also, like I said, through Instagram message. That was really fun. And also like collaborations. I was a part of some collaborations, which really helped like my following, but also like to grow personal relationships with the people behind the content. So kind of like what we're doing right now. So yeah.
Exactly, right? No, collaboration is that's a theme that I've noticed, which has been really big in helping people to, I guess, become part of the community and grow as well. Because like it's that personal connection. It's very different when it's like you're not really interacting like with people on I guess on a more personal basis and kind of keeping it solely to like content stuff. That, I mean, I guess if you're like a company, then maybe that works. But when it's like individual creators like you and me, it's so helpful to just connect with others, because especially in the Lego space, which is very, as you know, very community driven, that's like just one of the main things. And I love what you said about like how it's going to become a big like family now, because that is a really good thing about the Lego community. Like it's very welcoming for the most part. Everyone's very welcoming, like you said, and you create kind of like a family, you know. And I've experienced that as well. Like people have been so welcoming to me and kind, and just like it's really fantastic. So before we get on into some of the other questions, you used to go by Cowie's Creations online and then switch to Claire's Creations. Can I ask how come you decided to make that switch?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying my nickname, like my siblings, I have younger siblings, they couldn't say my real name, so they would just say Cowie.
Oh.
Because it's kind of similar to my name. I still don't know how they came up with that name. But it was basically a nickname. So I was like, I don't want to put my real name on the internet. I'm 15 years old, so I just, went with Cowie. And then throughout the years, I kind of felt maybe that I was outgrowing it a little bit because I don't know if there's anything wrong with someone calling me Cowie. I don't feel like it is. But, that's not my name. So I was like, well, I should probably switch it. So that's what I did. I just kind of wanted to rebrand also. I know a lot of people do that. It's kind of when I came back, I don't know, maybe half a year ago. Well, that was the beginning of this year. So about a year ago, I came back. And so decided to kind of rebrand a little bit. But there's no, dark secret about why I changed my name. It's just, basically, I just wanted to,
Exactly. There's no alter ego. It's like Cowie.
Exactly.
Cowie's gone. There's only Claire's Creations now.
Anyone can call me Cowie. I don't mind at all.
All right, that's cool. That I do see what you're saying there. It's like one thing that Matt Mellish on the last episode talked about is kind of having your brand, I guess, and how it can be very important to have you as your brand, and it seems like that's what you did. You changed it. While Cowie is still your nickname, you changed it to be a bit more personal. So it's like you, like your creations, and people know that this is Claire rather than your nickname per se.
Yeah, that is true. I wouldn't say I got tired of not being called my real name, but like you said, it's just a lot more personal, and you have it attached to your name other than your online name or whatever people would call it. But yeah, that is a really good point. I didn't think about it like that exactly.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and it's kind of cool to see how some people will make their brand completely them, and other people will make their brand a completely, I guess, a character of themselves. Mm-hmm. A lot of people in the content space, for example, like me, in my username, it's not my real name. I have a total online name, or there's some other bigger creators as well, like Just Too Good, for example. His brand for a while was the Mantis Man, and that kind of thing. So it's interesting to see how people, I guess, tackle the do I want it to be me, do I want it to be not kind of situation, and how everybody makes that work in their own different way.
Yeah. I think there's something about having, I won't say mystery, but people do face reveals. You were talking about Just Too Good. That's something that's I don't know, it's just something with YouTube. They're I don't want to show my face, but I'm going to do a face reveal and get all these views. I guess it's not for the views, but there's something about just having that mystery behind their identity, I think, which is intriguing to audiences. So, yeah, for sure.
Definitely, I agree. It creates a mystery, like you said, and intrigue, and who is this person? I have this image of them in my head, but they probably don't look like that, and it keeps people waiting for that day. So when Just Too Good did this face reveal, that was huge. 'Cause he'd been hiding that for 10+ years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was a while.
Yeah, no, definitely, he did pretty good with hiding his face. I think there was only a few very blurry photos out there that were reflections in a Lego piece or something, but it's interesting. But then there's always the thing there, that's been something that I've been thinking about as well. So I haven't posted my face online on my Doodlebricks account. I have on other accounts, but not my Doodlebricks one. I guess a lot of people have the worry about privacy as well, but then it also does enforce, I guess, once again what we were talking about before, the kind of brand of you. So it's an interesting thing to think about there, and how everybody tackles it differently. Okay, so I guess, once again, technically, you're not exactly a TFOL anymore, but you only just turned 20, so you still are. So I'm still going to ask these questions.
Okay.
So, what is it like being a TFOL for you? Have you, faced any judgment from people because you're into Lego and are a TFOL, or I guess AFOL now, but still TFOL?
I'm a TFOL.
You're a TFOL.
Roll with it, yeah.
Exactly.
In my personal life, I guess not many people know that I have a YouTube channel or a Lego Instagram. But of course my family knows, and a few closer friends. I wouldn't say I've been judged for it, but sometimes I feel like people perceive me maybe as childish just because I do it. But it's not something that's been like super negative or anything. So I'm grateful for that, definitely.
All right, I'm glad to hear. So it's like it's not been anything that's like affected you heavily then. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I'm glad because I know a lot of people can definitely struggle with that at times. So
Mm-hmm.
it's great when you don't have to deal with that, I guess.
Yeah.
And do you have any in-person friends who are also TFOLs and into Lego?
Yeah, a couple years ago I actually met someone that I met from the Lego community. I guess that would be considered in real life, because it is.
Yeah.
But like in everyday life, just like normal friends, none of them are really into Lego, but like they're supportive of it. If that makes sense at all. It's not, they might own a Lego set, but they're not like doing the same thing as me with it.
Exactly. They're not like intense. They're not intense fans like we are. They don't have the
They
whole
don't
setup.
understand it. Yeah, they don't understand the passion.
Right? It's
Yeah.
really interesting, like, to think about, like, other people's perspective of it who are, like, supportive of it. Like, they don't understand quite how deep it goes, and it's just
Yeah.
really interesting. It's like a whole other world, almost. It's, like, switching between them. It's really funny like that. And in conversation, if you being a Lego fan does come up, what are people's reactions usually like?
They're usually like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like that's basically like the extent of it. They'll probably think, "Oh, yeah, that is cool," but it's not like they're gonna go binge watch a bunch of the videos and be like super into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not been negative. They're usually just like, "Oh, that's so cool." That's basically the extent of it, though.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that there hasn't really been like anything negative like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say that have you gotten anybody who wasn't into Lego before into it? Like have you indoctrinated anybody into the Lego world?
I would say yes and no. My little siblings I think I could say that they are influenced by me liking Lego. It's something we have in common now. I build Lego with them. But basically, they're the only ones that I've, like you said, got into Lego. But they love Lego and we build together. So I would say definitely I have influenced their decision to like Lego.
That's pretty cool. Get the rest of the family into it. You'll slowly get the parents, and then soon everybody in the family will be into Lego.
Yeah. Have shelves everywhere, like walking down the hallway. Oh, there's the Lego, on the floor and everything. That's what happens to us a lot of the time.
Exactly. No, just have it like covering the entire house. It's like, one day maybe even build a Lego house. Take a page out of Ed Sheeran's book.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
It definitely is interesting to have younger siblings that will like Lego, though, because I'll be trying to like build something and they'll come in here and they'll be fighting over pieces, or they're trying to build exactly what I'm building. I'm like, oh no, I need those pieces. Don't take my pieces. But it is fun to build with them for sure.
Oh my god, that's funny. Yeah, I didn't think about like how that would affect it since they are into it now too. Because I'm an only child, so I haven't had the difficulty of like siblings stealing pieces. But
Yeah.
I can imagine if they're trying to do what you're doing, that must be pretty annoying. Like where did the pieces go? And it's like they're just running off with it.
And I'll like start on a mock, say I'm building like a castle. I think this actually happened when I was building I forget what it's called, Black Falcon. I don't know if you saw that mock of mine. But I was trying to build a castle, and they come in here, and they're like, I want to build a castle too. And so they're getting all the pieces that I need. I'm just like, I needed those pieces. How dare you take them from me? But it is fun. I can't say it's not fun, but it does get frustrating at times for sure.
That's definitely understandable. Do you have that thing where like when you're working on a build, you'll see different pieces that you think are good, and you're like, oh, I'll grab that for later. And then, like, at the end, you just have this big pile of unused pieces.
Yeah, I literally have that on my desk right now because I was actually building something before I came on here.
It's a struggle for sure. And it's like, for me, sometimes I have to, like, hold myself back when I see a piece. I'm like, oh, I could use that. No, you have enough pieces. Like, leave that there.
Have, like, this humongous pile. Like, I don't know how many bricks on my desk right now. But sometimes they are useful, so I guess it's not an entirely bad thing. But like you said, there's a limit to it. You can't have like a whole bulk tote of pieces that you're probably not going to use. So yeah.
Of course, yeah. Like it's a good thing to do, like to a degree, but then when it starts taking up like a ridiculous amount of space, it's like, okay, maybe I
Yeah.
should like start focusing on the pieces that I do have. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's an
Yeah.
interesting balance there. Do I take the piece to take the piece or to not take the piece? That is the question.
Yep.
So, if Lego was going to start focusing more on teens, like how they have with this whole Adults Welcome campaign, what do you think they could do for TFOLs?
That is a really interesting question. Um, I don't exactly really know like a straightforward answer, but like, Lego made the BTS set. I feel like that is appealing to like younger teenagers, just normal teenagers. So I think if they incorporated stuff like that, more like, music or basically hobbies that teens are interested in, maybe even sports, that would probably help them out or, be to their advantage. Because, like you said, there's like the adult sets, but there's not really any directed towards teenagers. So basically, anything I think that teenagers like, if they incorporate that, it would probably benefit them in the long run, and also the teenagers.
I see what you're saying. Now,
Yeah.
that's really interesting, because the BTS set, I know that's definitely, I know the BTS fans generally, I think, are as a whole like more teenagers and like
Mm-hmm.
tweens and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I can definitely see how that could like bring more in as well, because I know the designers said that that set was not designed for Lego fans, but like to bring people into Lego.
Yeah.
And I do like what you're saying there about, you're basically saying like making more sets based on more relevant things for teens, right?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think that's really important. And I completely agree there, because I do notice that when they do try to do stuff for teenagers, like specifically, it can often like miss the mark. So like, with a lot of their app integrated stuff, things like Hidden Side, I think there were like
Mm-hmm.
teenagers on the marketing for that a lot of the time, and
Yeah.
that didn't do great. But if they did more things rather than like trying to create something new for them, maybe doing something, just more IPs based on things that are more relevant for teens, like
Yeah.
BTS, groups like that, video games, whatever, shows, whatever it may be, things like Stranger Things, for example, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, that's one of the big ones that I wish they had more sets on because I think it would do really well. But there's probably reasons why they haven't done more. But yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, Stranger Things would be really good.
yeah, it would be really cool if they could like do. I mean, I haven't even watched Stranger Things, but even I am like, they need to make more of those, because that set did super well from what I know.
For sure.
It's interesting, like especially because they have the they can put the excuse of like the 18 plus on the box, so they could honestly get away with doing things more like Stranger Things and
Mm-hmm.
more things of that sort, but they just don't as much, and I think that's a very big missed opportunity sometimes,
Yeah.
a lot of the time.
I think Star Wars is like, basically, I won't say it's targeted towards like teenagers, but I know there's a lot of teenagers that would really be into Lego Star Wars, and so themes like that I feel like are, kind of neutral, but if they, I don't know if they could like do Fortnite sets or something like you were talking about with video games. Like Fortnite is a big one I know teenagers and young teenagers probably would enjoy. So yeah, I think what you said about the video games, that would be really cool to integrate into Lego for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's one thing. I'm not even a gamer, but I'm very much an advocate for like doing more video game sets like Overwatch, which they have done.
Yeah,
I
I
think that's
forgot
gone
about
now,
that.
but right. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people have.
it was kind of short lived there. I think I got one
R-
of those sets. I don't even play the game, but
Yeah, I don't either, but the characters and the sets are just cool. They
yeah.
were gonna release one recently, but it got canceled because like issues with the company Blizzard and all that, which
Oh
sucks
no.
because it was super cool. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, I think video games would definitely be good. Once again, Fortnite, like you said, that is like so many people I've talked to and just heard around are like, Lego needs to make Fortnite sets,
Hmm.
and that would be good. They could do it. Don't know why not, because they've done other things that are much worse than Fortnite. So it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But things like the Horizon Zero Dawn set as well. I've said before that that is a great one as well. So, do you see Lego involved with your career in any way in the future, or just keeping it as a hobby more?
Yeah, so I guess for now. It is a hobby, and probably in the future it will probably still be a hobby, just because I don't know that I would have, not the mental stamina, but like I feel like I wouldn't truly like enjoy it for like a career like I enjoy it as a hobby, but I wouldn't want to kind of mix my passion with like a career, because to me that might be a little bit too stressful, if that makes sense. I won't want to get burned out of it, too quickly.
Absolutely. You make a good point there about the danger of making your passion your career being burnt out from that. That's a really interesting thing. I guess you have to like weigh if whether or not you want to do that or not.
Yeah. I think you should obviously do something like for your career that you're passionate about. But if it's kind of like a hobby to a career, I think there's like a difference between doing something you're passionate about versus doing your hobby as your career, if that makes sense in a way,
Definitely. I've heard people, to give an example, I've heard people say, cooking is a great hobby. It's a terrible job. Things like that.
Yeah. It's kind of along the same lines, I guess.
It's interesting there. And I guess it depends on each person, really, if you want to make your hobby or passion like your actual job. But I think it very much depends on what it is you're into. Because, like, for me, I mean, there's a lot of things I want to do, but the main thing is be a set designer for Lego. Like, that's been the dream since I was little. Mm-hmm. So I have sometimes wondered, like, shoot, do I actually want to be a set designer? Because I will have limits, budgets I have to work within. I'm not going to have full control over this. But then there's also the other side if I get to play with Lego all day. So, like,
it would be your job to play with Lego.
Exactly, right? I mean, yeah, there's still corporate stuff like meetings and whatever, but Lego at the end of the day. But no, it is, and to be fair, I have heard that, like, to anybody else who might want to be a set designer, I've heard that it's an amazing job. Like, amazing, but still, it's an interesting thing to weigh. Like, do I want to make my passion/hobby my job or not? Because there's a lot of, I guess, different things that can come with that. So it's good to think about that. Yeah. You are also a musician, right?
Yes, I am.
That's really cool. So how did you get into doing music?
Yeah, so when I think I was 8 years old, I went to this music program that my sister had went to, my older sister. She had went to it for like a year or something, so I was like, oh, she's doing that, I'm going to do it too. So I basically just got into that and then kept going back every year and learned a few more instruments. Like I don't know if you know what a mandolin is, but it's like an old-time instrument. It actually came from Italy. You'll have to look it up after this so you can see.
I think I've heard of it. There'll be a picture on screen for people who don't know what that is, like myself.
Yeah, but it's like an older instrument. I also play banjo. So throughout the years, I kind of learned different instruments. But recently I've gotten into like more rock music with like electric guitar. So that's kind of where I'm at now. It's kind of funny, to go from an instrument that maybe not anyone knows about to electric guitar. But I'm just kind of feeling it out and figuring out what kind of music I really enjoy playing. Not that I wouldn't enjoy a mandolin, but it's not a lot of people know what that is. So yeah, it would either be really unique or just kind of random. So I'd rather do something, I guess, that's a little bit relevant, in today's world of music, but also be unique. You wouldn't want to be like random, but also not unique. I don't know if that makes sense.
Exactly.
But yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. It's like walking that fine line once again. But that's really cool to hear. And you also have like a YouTube channel where you post some music stuff, right?
Yes, I do. I also sometimes write original songs. I think that's probably the one you're talking about, that I have like original songs on. So yeah. Yeah.
That is really so cool that you write songs. I listened to one and it's really good. Like, how do you I guess just go about creating an original song like that? Yeah, it's honestly kind of like Lego. I really like creating things, obviously. But like if I'm going through something or like I guess it's based off of emotions. It's like I can put my emotions into music, so it's kind of a form of therapy. Like I know a lot of people say that about Lego too. It's kind of like, a form of therapy. But yeah, it's really honestly similar to building with Lego or building blocks. Just
go ahead and start like a melody, which would be like the base of the block. It's just kind of the same thing basically. But yeah, I really like creating things, and songs are really fun to make.
That is such a cool comparison you made about like creating like the base of the song and also like the base of a mock. I love that comparison there. That's so cool how like the two things two of the things at least you're passionate about kind of like mix in that way. That is so cool.
I kind of go about it the same way. I didn't realize that until now, but it's literally kind of the same process, I guess.
Wow. I guess because you're building a song in the way by adding the different layers of it as well. And that is a super cool comparison. I love that so much. So on the music topic real quick, before we get back into Lego, we can get into our first listener submitted question, which is by Shockwave Bricks, who asks, what instruments do you play and what's your favorite kind of music? So do you play any other instruments besides the ones you mentioned?
I'm trying to think of the ones that I didn't mention. I play banjo, mandolin, guitar, electric guitar, and a little bit of bass. Like, I guess it would be electric bass. But I've tried it. I'm not that great at it. I also can't play violin. It's totally different than the other one, so I just steer completely clear away from that one. But yeah, basically anything stringed.
Okay, that's really cool. So you got a handle kind of on like the stringed instruments then.
Yeah, I cannot play like woodwind instruments I guess I could try to do drums, but that would be an epic fail for sure. So, yeah.
I don't know. I think you could do that.
I don't know about that one. Maybe I'll have to learn drums at some point.
Maybe. You can add that to like your resume. It's like I got most of the stringed instruments and then we got the drum as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and the other part of that question, so what's your favorite kind of music as well? Is it like you said more rock stuff before since you've been getting into that, or no?
Yeah, so now I would say it's like a mix between like alternative rock and indie rock. I don't know if you know what indie rock is, but it's kind of like there's like produced music, but indie music is kind of like underproduced, so it's sort of similar to like pop music, but it's like not as produced, if that makes sense. But it's like indie rock, so yeah, that's basically what I'm into now. But when I was younger, I played a lot of like bluegrass music, like with the banjo and guitar. Because I'm actually from the South. I don't know, you can probably hear in my accent, I'm kind of Southern.
I figured, yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up playing that kind of music, but I'm not really into it now as much.
I see. Okay, that's really cool. And while we're on your viewer-submitted questions, I'm going to ask the other one, which is by Dylan D726, who's a good friend of mine. He was the first guest on the show. He basically asks how it is translating Minecraft into Lego form, because, oh boy, sets make it look easy. It is not.
Yeah, so it is a little bit harder. If you were to ask me, like, the Lego dimensions of a Minecraft block right now, I probably could not tell you, because I don't have all that memorized. But it is a lot harder than one would think, because you have to make, like, perfect blocks, and then, make sure it's still, like, I guess, Lego minifigure scale, if that makes sense. It's a little bit different than what Minecraft would be, but basically it's like you just have to figure out what would be, like, the equivalent of a block, and then go from there. I'm not too experienced with Minecraft building, so if you were to ask me, like I said a minute ago, if you were to ask me, I probably can't give you, like, the full rundown of how to, like, translate Minecraft into Lego Minecraft. But yeah, I would just say go from making that perfect block with, I think you have to do like plates, and then there's a tile and a brick. I'm pretty sure that's like the equivalent of a perfect cube or whatever, but yeah.
I think it's, from what I've heard, I think Cheesy Studios did a video on that. I think it's like 5 plates stacked on top of each other, or yeah, I think 5 plates is a perfect cube from what I remember.
Yeah, so that would be like 2 plates and a brick, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's complicated. I'm not the best at it for sure.
Now, you wouldn't think it would be complicated, but it is surprisingly. Like, because I guess normally Lego bricks aren't perfect cubes, so yeah.
Yeah. I never realized that until I started like trying to build in Minecraft. I was like, this is whack. But yeah, it is fun experimenting with different parts for Lego Minecraft for sure.
No, definitely. It's really good to be able to like adapt to the different, I guess, dimensions of things like that.
It is different for sure.
So you've been doing a series where you make a diorama for minifigures from the latest collectible minifigures series. What was the inspiration behind that? And do you have any other series similar to that planned for the future?
That is a good question. I guess like the inspiration behind doing that was that I didn't really have any inspiration to build like mocks of my own. So I basically just took those minifigures as inspiration to build stuff because I was having a hard time kind of coming up with ideas of what to build. So I basically just started with that and just went from there. And to answer the part about like the upcoming ones, I'm actually planning on doing like a series of the Disney minifigures, which I'm sure you know what those are.
Yeah.
But maybe even make like a longer YouTube video covering all of them so that way it would give some entertainment other than just, oh, here's this one mock that I built, you know. It would be more entertaining, but yeah.
I see what you're saying. That's a really good idea of like adding, I guess, more stuff to the video besides just showing off the build to make it, like you said, a bit more entertaining. I've noticed people start to do that more with their mock building, I guess, because it adds like another element to it. I think that is kind of what happened with like TD Bricks, for example. Like he started off doing more mock showcases, but then he started mixing them up and adding more things in, and now he's at nearly 2 million subscribers. So it's pretty effective.
I think I've known TD since I had like 30 subscribers, I'm pretty sure. I did a collaboration with him. That was like 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. It was a while ago, so yeah.
Really?
But he's really impressive for sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. That must have been so cool to like, know him and see that growth, or that exponential growth over time.
Yeah, it's really interesting for sure.
Yeah, I remember I found his channel like, definitely a ways before he was as popular as he is now. And like I always liked this stuff. It was always really cool, but I never like I guess predicted that like he'd grow to the size he is now, but it's just so cool to see someone who's also, I don't think he's a TFOL, but I think he's near the mark, right? To see someone close to our age just do so well like that in Lego, like that is so amazing to see.
Yeah. I think forget the guy's name, Republic Studs, I believe. I think he's another one that's kind of blown up recently, doing like the similar kind of videos.
Yeah.
He's pretty talented too.
He is. It's cool to see the sudden explosion of like TFOL and near TFOL talent in the content creation space. There's been a lot. We've gotten a lot more representation recently, and it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, like I think some of their videos was like on trending. I'm pretty sure TD had one that was like number 1, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was number 3, but that's really cool to see like on YouTube because, a few years ago that would have never happened.
It is really amazing to like see that. I think I think TD has gotten number 1 on trending multiple times, if I'm remembering correctly, but at least once, that's for sure. And he's gotten on other places on trending. Yeah, it's so cool to just like know that we can get to that point, right? And that those of us who are doing it well, and like spreading the like the Lego love, I guess, in a good way, and making more people aware of all this crazy stuff you can do with it. So, as a TFOL, what do you think would be a good way of stopping other TFOLs from going into a dark age?
I guess a good way for like teenagers to like stop themselves from going into a dark age would be like buying sets. I know that's pretty simple, but I think it's effective. And being interested in those specific areas, I think really helps a lot, because if you're buying a Lego set that you don't really care about, you're probably not going to be into the Lego aspect of it either. So I guess just finding things that you enjoy and then putting it in Lego form, or like, Lego coming out with a set with something you enjoy, that would be a good way to keep yourself from going into a dark age, I guess. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So that's kind of like if you feel yourself going into it, it's like stopping yourself in that case. But
Yeah.
I think that's really good what you said there, though. I don't think anyone who I've asked that question has kind of like given an answer like that, but it's good because it's really sticking to like only the stuff that really makes you happy and you only really want, and not just buying because it's like, oh, that's a Star Wars set and it's kind of cool, so like I might as well get it. Like really sticking to what you solely enjoy the most to keep the passion going, I guess.
It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with like the content creation. Like you have to be passionate about what you're doing, or else it's just you're kind of doing it for no reason, you know? So, yeah.
Exactly. Now that's a really good mentality to have, I'd say. So, as we know, Lego is a thing for everybody of all ages, both genders. It's for everybody. But there is still a stupid stigma of, like, Lego is only for guys kind of thing. Some people still have that. So I was wondering, have you ever faced any judgment for specifically being a female fan of Lego? Has anybody ever given you grief about that?
Yeah, so, like, obviously in, like, real life, I've never really experienced anything like that. But online I have. I don't know if it's because I am a female, but I have had like some people just being rude or like saying inappropriate things towards me. So I have faced some of that, but I've kind of just blown it off to the point where I just let them do what they're gonna do and just keep doing what I enjoy. So yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you just like continue what you're doing and just not feeding into these people trying to like upset you or that. That's really the best way to handle that.
Yeah, and also it's encouraged me to see, like, I don't know if you probably know the show Lego Masters. They've included more females on there, so that's been encouraging to me. And it's not as, I guess, strange to see a girl liking Lego, because there's more representation of it, I guess, in the media. So that has definitely been encouraging to me as a female creator and Lego fan for sure.
Definitely. No, they have been doing a lot better with that. I mean, like, for example, spoilers for Lego Masters Season 3, the America version. But, one of the winners of that was, Stacy, like Nick and Stacy. So has been really good to see how they've been, I guess, being more inclusive in that way as well. And even, like, also stopping just, like, I guess the kind of girly stereotypes. So, they had Lego Friends, but now Friends has become less of that stereotypical kind of girly stuff and just solid sets. Like, those things are so cool. Like, I love the recent Friends sets.
That is a good point. Yeah, I guess when I think about Friends, I usually think of, like, the girly stuff. There was, like, the house that was all, like, pink and white and purple and blue. Like the light-colored blue. But, like you said, I think they have done a better job with that recently, for sure.
Definitely. It's been good that they've kind of been like stopping drawing that line between and just making it like, anybody can enjoy this. And as well with Friends, they've added like a few boy characters to the main cast as well to, I guess, diversify it. So it's great to see all the different things Lego has done to, I guess, just stop drawing that line in the sand kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any Lego themes that you're a specific fan of, such as like Ninjago, Marvel, Star Wars, or like any others?
I like, as far as like Ninjago goes, ones like that, or Champions, or other ones like that. I'm not really a big fan of, but of course I do love the Minecraft ones because those are really good. I feel like the minifigures are decent, and the prices for them are actually really good. So I would definitely say Minecraft, and I love Creator Expert, which is, like the modular line. Those are, like, I guess my top two. Of course, the collectible minifigures as well. But yeah, those are probably, like, my top picks for themes as far as that goes.
Okay, cool. Those are good ones for sure. Like, once again, they're good. They're good models, and they're also great for pieces as well.
Yeah.
Especially for the kind of stuff that you do.
Yeah, I think that's maybe why I like them so much, because I don't know, it's not something just sitting on my shelf forever, like I'm all for collecting, but like we were talking about earlier, you can reuse those pieces in a good way, so Yeah, that is a good point about those. Maybe that's why I like them so much.
Maybe.
Why.
Have you ever like bought a set just for the pieces and like not even bothered building it?
Yeah, I used to do that when I was little because I'd be like, oh, look at this one little piece. It costs like 5 cents, but I'm going to spend $50 on the set, you know. But I don't really do that anymore. Like, if I want a particular piece, I'll like get it off of Bricklink. But sometimes I'll buy the set for the minifigure. Like the Minecraft set, I did build it. I guess it was like the Mangrove Swamp Mock. I did build the set, but that was basically just for like video purposes. So if I was just building that without making a video, I probably wouldn't have built it. But yeah, some of the smaller sets like that, I wouldn't bother building, and just use them for parts. But yeah.
No, that's definitely understandable. That buying like a $50 set for one piece, not a great financial decision.
No. It kind of is like a good idea if there's like a set that's on sale, I think, for like minifigures. Like when I was little, I would go to Walmart and there'd be like a bunch of Lego clearance. And so that was useful, to get sets that way. But now I wouldn't really do that because I can buy it offline, and it's a lot more affordable that way. So, yeah.
Exactly. No, that definitely makes more sense. Bricklink is a great asset. So where do you want to see your channel go in the future? What's the goal? What's the future goal or goals for it?
Yeah, I used to be more like on the, not influencer side, but like I used to want to grow more, I guess, and be more influential. But as of lately, my priority is to just inspire people and, share what I create. It's not so much about, I want to, gain all these followers or these subscribers. It's just solely something that I enjoy doing. So I just want to do it for enjoyment's purpose other than, I want to be famous. Yeah, in the future, I would just say keep it the same. It would be something that I enjoy, not something that I would want to grow, super large. But yeah.
No, exactly. I think that is a fantastic way to go about it, just doing it for the joy of it, because that's one way to not get burnt out with it either. Mm-hmm. Because you're not trying to like you said, be like famous or anything like that. You're just like, I enjoy doing this. I don't want to share it with people.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that works to people's advantage too, because it'll show through if you're like enjoying something or not. I know before I've been like making videos that I'm not, super passionate about, and I'll just be like, oh, here's this mock, like and subscribe, and it's kind of dry, like it has no meaning. But I've tried to get into things that I like thoroughly enjoy recently, and it's really helped me. I think also grow as a creator as well, so it kind of works to creators' advantage to just do what they're passionate about, for sure.
Definitely. That's a great way to go about it. So the final question is, do you have any advice for TFOLs? Granted, you already have given some great advice before, but
I guess if there was anything like I would want to tell my older self, younger self, me as a TFOL, is just to enjoy what I do. I know I've said that so many times throughout this episode, but just enjoy what you do, and you can't go wrong with that, Also, don't let people influence what you do or how you do things. Just do what you want to do, and it'll work out for sure.
I think that's lovely. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Claire. It was awesome having you. And before we end this episode, do you have any social media or other things like that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, so I do have Instagram and TikTok. You can look me up at Claire's Creations. I think some of them are like different ways of spelling it, but you can look up Claire's Creations and I'll probably come through.
All right, awesome. So TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube then, all Claire's Creations. All right, fantastic. Well, thank you all so much for watching. It means the world, and I hope you enjoyed. Links to the things and people we talked about will be in the description as always. New episodes now released once every 2 weeks on Tuesdays for TFOL Talk Tuesday, and you can find updates, announcements, and more regarding the podcast over on my Twitter or Instagram, both of which are @Doodlebricks. Anyways, that's all for now, and we'll see you all later.